Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got another Bible review for you today. And every once in a while, I come across a Bible that, I'll be honest with you, I totally forgot I bought. And I'm wondering. I have my little cheat sheet up there with some information on it, and I'm kind of reading the cheat sheet at first, and I'm like, oh, I don't really remember this one. Let me see what I got. And so I unwrap it, and I'm like pleasantly surprised. Right. So this is a Collins. I love Collins. This is a King James Version Bible. And this is just a very nice edition. I was like, okay, Collins, stepping up. Yeah, it looks really good. I'm surprised by some of its features. Really, man, this is a nice looking Bible. Very nice looking Bible. I was pleasantly surprised when I opened it up and saw. So let's go ahead and get into it, right? Shall we? You can see very nice Yapp on this. Man, look at that. Beautiful Yapp right out the gate, right? It's not a full Yapp. I think that full Yapps kind of came into favor more recently, but this is certainly, right, a generous Yapp, I guess you'd call it nowadays. But it's a genuine leather, black, obviously. It does have a nice little perimeter line there. You can see how the Yapp is kind of formed around the text block. I think that's nice. And you have Holy Bible with helps imprinted on the front cover. It is a very nice grain. It's a very natural grain. It doesn't appear to be like overly stamped or anything like that. This actually just seems like what would have come off the animal. So it's a very nice grain. We'll take a look at the back as well before we get to the spine. Just try and mix things up a little bit, but it's a very nice grain, very soft, very pliable leather. Just very nice. Collins was doing some nice stuff back in the day. I'll be honest with you. There does appear to be kind of a double perimeter line there. There's one here at the edge of the book block, and then there's one kind of on the very edge. On the spine, we have the perimeter line continuing, and then we just have Holy Bible illustrated and the Collins logo down there. Now, there are some kind of double line rib indicators there, but they're very meager and almost impossible to kind of pick up. So I wouldn't. Yeah, it is what it is, right? We'll go ahead and take a look at the other exterior features. We do have like a white head and tail band there, and it looks like woven, which is really nice. You don't see that fairly often. It's kind of a woven design. It is red under gold art gilt, and that gold is very nice. The red is kind of faded and kind of worn, right? This is a well-used Bible. Ooh, we'll try and crack it the opposite direction. Kind of faded and kind of worn, but it's still a nice red under gold. It's see better when we open it up. Again, the tailband is a nice woven white tailband. And then we have this. It's funny because I just mentioned this in one of my other reviews. This is the very worst ribbon that has ever. These are the very worst ribbons that have ever been used by Bible production companies. I don't know what this is. I don't know what the material is. Maybe it's just cotton, but it's just like a kind of a woven or a braided cotton, and it's super thin. They're super flimsy, and once they get to a particular age, like you can kind of see it's kind of fraying a little bit here. If you just pull on it a little too much, it'll totally just snap right off the Bible. So yeah, I'm not sure why they use these. Not to mention they're like super thin. They're like ridiculously thin and small. They were just a mess. And a lot of times they ended up like twisting and spiraling, as you use the Bible. So they're require a lot of work to get them straightened out again. And the majority of the time they just end up popping off anyway. So there's even been a few that I've seen and I've had where I'm like, yeah, this just isn't even going to work. And I just give it like a little tug and it just comes right off. And I'll try and replace it. I'll try and replace it with something that's a little nicer quality if that happens. But go ahead and open the Bible up. You can see the very nice corner work there. It is just a black paper paste down, nothing crazy. But again, you can see that full Yapp demonstrated. This one again is a very well used Bible. So you can see how the kind of the paper liner here is cracking. There's a little crack here, kind of in the book block and that sort of thing. So if you were to purchase this, you might want to repair that. There's some a little marking there for genuine leather. Take a look. We'll go ahead and get into it. This is a really nice edition, man. I was impressed by this when I started flipping through it. I just have a blank sheet there. It looks like there used to be something written and it was maybe erased in pencil, I'm assuming. Then you have your presentation page to Jerry Olson. Thank you, Jerry Olson, wherever you are. To, it looks like Claremont Methodist Sunday School. Look at that, 1951. Awesome that this Bible's still kicking around after all these years, right? 70 years. That's crazy saying that, 70 years. Kind of a waxy paper. This page also, I tend to find that when there's like images like this in these older Bibles, the paper does tend to be waxy. I'm wondering if that's like the coating they used to put on it after the fact so that maybe the color didn't transfer between pages. The printing process back in the day was a little questionable. It wasn't as good as it is nowadays for sure. But you can see kind of the little description there of the photo. And we have our title page, the Holy Bible. And I'll zoom in here so you guys can read it. And then as Colin does an excellent job with their information, right? I've kind of dinged some other brands, World, for not putting any information. Collins is the exception. They do an awesome job. So we can see here, this is the new Brevier edition. And the Brevier edition is one that I think is still in production by some companies. Maybe Allen might produce a Brevier. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but I think that's still in production. So this is a new Brevier, and it's a 16 MO text. So the text indicates that obviously this is a text Bible. There's not going to be any cross references or center column references or anything like that. It's just going to be the text of the Bible. And then 16 MO is the page size, which is like this actual page size. 8 MO is a full size Bible. Then it goes down to 16, and it goes smaller and smaller. It's kind of the inverse. As the number gets larger, it'll get smaller and smaller. So like a ruby, I think is about a 48 MO or maybe even a 64 MO. And then I've seen it get as small as 128, which is like an Oxford Brilliant, I think, or an Oxford Diamond. And those are like teeny, like super, super tiny little, I mean, nothing, like not much bigger than just my finger by comparison. So they get pretty small. On the flip side of that, we have the license page with all of the pertinent information. You guys can pause and read that if you want. It's printed in Great Britain. Then we have our epistle dedicatory and the table of contents with the number of chapters and the table of signs used, the pronunciation signs in this text. And then it gets right into it, the first book of Moses called Genesis. And so here we have kind of a nice look at the text. Very well done. I mean, obviously it's a double column verse by verse format. And we'll see kind of all the standards that we've been seeing lately. You have your double line drop cap. You have your chapter indicators there. You have a double line. I think I already said that. Double line drop cap, chapter indicators. I'm repeating myself now. And then we have our book name and our chapter numbers up in the top outer corners. We have our running headers kind of in the gutter here. And one of the things that I'm noticing that they're doing, aside from the page numbers at the bottom middle here, but one of the things that they're doing, I notice here, is there's chapter 2, and then you have a number 2 off to the side here. And we'll flip a little bit of ways so I can double check and make sure that's the case. But yeah, so like right here you have a 212, and then it says chapter 1 for Book of Judges. So this is going to be the 212th chapter total out of the whole Bible, right? So it's the first chapter of the Book of Judges, but it's the 212th chapter. So if you guys aren't familiar, there's 1,189 chapters in the Bible, and so this kind of counts them down for you. I'm not too sure why like you would need that. Maybe I guess as a reference, but I don't think that it's like incredibly pertinent. And I certainly wouldn't like give turn to chapter 539 in the Bible. No one's going to know what that is. So I'm not too sure why they did that. And most editions kind of did away with that as time went on. They are using pilgrim markers there, which I'm sure you saw. We can see a few more. And if you guys notice, look how beautiful this red under gold is, man. That's a very nice deep red. The paper is a very nice cream color. It's probably oxidized a little bit over the years. So it's probably a little bit more yellowed than it would be, but it's a very nice yellowing overall. It doesn't look, I don't know, like sometimes you get these editions and they're like so heavily oxidized that it's like, man, you can just tell this Bible's seen better days. This is just a nice paper. Like it just looks like maybe not super oxidized. It might not even be oxidized at all. It just has a very nice yellow color to it. We can see some of the prints here that it mentioned. I think it said, what did it say on the spine? Illustrated, yeah. So it says illustrated. So we are going to see some of these illustrations, just photos really more so than anything. And they are going to be all in black and white. And there's some of the information at the bottom. We'll flip over. And there's the additional Safed or Safed, I'm not sure, a city set on a hill. Yeah, neat. So definitely a nice edition. This paper is really nice. Goodness. Let's turn to Psalm 119. I'm curious now about that. Oh, there we go. We do have a color print. I had a feeling because I noticed that there wasn't a picture here, and the paper felt kind of waxy. So I guess they did do some color photos. So there's an example of color photo. So it's kind of mixed in, some color, some black and white. Let's go back to Psalm 119. There we are. And there are no Hebrew characters, but they do have the transliterations there. Obviously, there's no formatting for a poetic setting. And you can see this wonderful paper with, like negative show through. I mean, maybe you can kind of see like a faint like hint that, hey, there might be text on the other side of this page. But really, this paper is absolutely astonishing. It's an amazing paper. So no worries on show through. It doesn't really matter if it's line matched or not because I can't tell otherwise. So it is what it is. let's go ahead and go forward to the end of the Old Testament. So there's the end of Malachi. We have our New Testament title page and the Gospel according to Matthew. You can see that the beginning of Matthew is the 930th chapter of the Bible. And then we'll flip a couple pages and we'll notice that it is a black letter text. There's another photo for you guys to appreciate. Yep, black letter text, so nothing to really see here. But again, we can appreciate the wonderful coloration of the photo. And this one does have some yellow highlighting in it. Just a byproduct of being a well-used Bible. You know, I don't mind this yellow. It's not hyper offensive. Sometimes you see people highlighting, like, I don't know. In these older editions, it's kind of weird when you see like bright green or bright blue, like a color pencil. I'm just like, it seems kind of out of place. But like some yellow highlighting, it's not, like I said, super offensive or anything like that. It seems to just kind of blend in with the standard of a highlighter. All right, let's go to Revelation. We'll finish it up. Now, despite this being a text edition, so there's no cross-references or anything like that, there are some helps in the back. So all is not lost. All lost, right? So we have the end of the New Testament, the end of the Bible there. And we have simple aids for Sunday school scholars. And Collins, like I said, kind of made good inroads into study Bibles. So we have some little helps there. There's your table of contents. And I'm not sure if this matches up with what we've previously seen. I would imagine it's not going to stray too far from it. So we have a little section on how to study the Bible. We'll just kind of chunk through this one. Marking your Bible, Bible study by character. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and we might come back. Hold on. We might do this. Let's take a look. Let's take a look right quick. So we have the Principal Bible Helps. Little article on that. Straight through the Bible, marking your Bible. I think that's interesting that they have a way to mark it. Right, and they have a breakdown here of different things that you can mark. I guess just individual letters, right? So you have like A for anger, H for heaven. You have JY for joy, SI or SL, I guess, for selfishness. So different little letters that you can put next to it. I think that's interesting. Bible study by characters. And so that gives you, I guess, a little breakdown of maybe just like studying a particular character. Historical Bible study, the Bible book by book, which is how I've read it traditionally. And then it gives you a little breakdown. So here's like a breakdown of Genesis. It says the book of beginnings, the story of creation of the first men and of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. So it gives you a brief little explanation. Then we have the Bible in your memory, two ways, easy and hard. I'm curious what that article is talking about. Maybe, I wonder if it's like memorizing, like hard ways of memorizing or hard ways of understanding the Bible, maybe. I'm not sure. Then there's a section on Bible mastery. What the Bible will do for you. I might read these after I get done making this video. Summary of the books of the Bible. So that's interesting because there was another, like a much shorter version of this, but here we have another one, right? It says the books of the Bible. Yeah, it's still going by it. Genesis now. So in this one for Genesis says, the word Genesis signifies generation or origin and is the title given to the first book of the Bible. It narrates the Bible history of Israel from the creation until the death of Joseph. In the introductory chapters, it gives the history of the creation of the earth and mankind down to the dispersion of Noah's descendants over the world. In this book is included the lives of the great patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the story of Joseph in Egypt. So it's a little bit more. It's kind of curious that they would have another section with like a shorter version of these summaries, but either way, right? Some extra helps never hurt. Then we have an article on the languages of the Bible, and let's keep going. The English versions of the Bible. I'm curious what they. Yeah, it looks like they're kind of touching on some of the really early versions of the English Bible. I'm assuming they're versions before the 1611. Then we have the Sunday School Scholars Handy Table of Parables and Miracles of the Bible. With like 10 Commandments, right? Historical questions out of the Bible. A lot of good stuff in here. The Golden Text Treasury. I'm not sure what that is. Let's see. Especially prepared for children. Okay. Okay. So it's like little key Bible verses, right? So it looks like Romans 7:9, abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. So yeah, I guess just some selected readings from the Bible. That's neat. I like that. All right, so let's finish up here. golden text treasury. Then you have a blank sheet there, and it gets into the maps. And these maps, this is very hard to see from my eyes. Hopefully, maybe you guys can see it a little bit better on your end. But yeah, Collins maps, they're a nice pale color, which I like. It makes it easier to read, but they're just very small. So I'm assuming they probably borrowed these maps from their larger editions. They're 8 VOs, and they probably just scaled it down, which doesn't always work. Sometimes it makes it a little harder to see, especially in something like this right-hand side. There's just so much information and so much kind of features and everything, terrain features, that it's almost impossible to read that map, unfortunately. I'm glad that maps have gotten better over the years. So there's the end of your map. Then you have a couple stamps here. There's B35, and then, I don't know, maybe an I or an L89. Those are the 2 stamps we get. And that's it. Wraps up there. That's a nice little Bible. I'm really impressed by the paper. The paper in this edition is like excellent. Certainly not what I was expecting. So let's go ahead and measure. I'm going to get the full measurement of the Yapp extended. And so that comes in at 7 3/8 of an inch tall by, I'm trying to be careful here not to scratch that gilt, by 4 3/4 inch wide by about an inch, just under an inch and a half thick. Let's go ahead and take a look at that text. So we'll look at the capital letter here. And that appears to be about an 8.5 point font versus Times New Roman. I'll do the M in same. And that appears to be a 9-point font versus Times New Roman. So interestingly, right, this one seems to be smaller than the Bibles that we've been seeing recently, but the font's the same size, right at a 9-point font versus Times New Roman, which I guess must be the go-to for biblical font sizes, 9-point font. Awesome example of a great addition from Collins. Collins really did a lot of things right with their Bible production. Certainly this very soft, genuine leather is one of the things, with the full Yapp, the double perimeter lines, the paper selection, the red under gold. Just so much nice stuff going on with this Bible. So if you have any questions, Bible buddies, please feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, until next time, Bible buddies, bye.